So, this is the DIY MOT that I said I would do. It's just a way of measuring your fitness, and then maybe in a month you could measure it again and see how you're progressing. Okay, this isn't live, so but I'll post it on my channel so you'll be able to see it. You can do it at your own convenience. There's no class today. This is Monday the 27th, so maybe do it today. Before you start, you're going to need our old friend the chair. You're going to need a ruler. You can hardly see that because it's perspex. You're going to need a stopwatch of some sort. You can just have a cheap one. You can get one on your phone. I quite often use a kitchen timer because when the timer's up, it bleeps, so you don't have to be trying to do the stuff and constantly looking at your watch. If you're not living on your own, if you're not self-isolating on your own, it's useful to have somebody to help you do this, but you can do these on your own as well. So kitchen chair, ruler, stopwatch. Yes, you'll need a pen and paper to record the result, and it would be useful if you had one of these sort of builder's measuring tape things, something like this, just for one of the tests. But it's not essential. If you've got a tape measure, it'll do. Right, the thing about doing tests, I'm going to put these aside for a minute. The thing about doing tests is they've got to be repeatable. So you need to do things. You need to do things in a systematic way. So if you're measuring how far you got this time, you need to be able to repeat the test so that the measurements are valid and the same. But I think these are okay. I think they'll be fine. Is there anything? Oh yes, I'm not going to do a warm-up, but if you do a warm-up first, you'll get better results. One of them is a bit of a stretching test, so it's best to do a warm-up because you might injure yourself, but you will get better results if you do a warm-up first. So if you want to know about a warm-up, you can either do the warm-up at the beginning of one of my live videos that I've done, or you can go to the end and do the routine that we do. Put some music on and do the dance. You know, this one that we do. Do that for sort of a few minutes or for the length of a song. That should get you nice and warm. So I'm not going to do all of these all the way through because some of them take 2 minutes and various things. So I'm just going to explain what to do. The first one is called chair to stand. So you have this chair. Now make sure it's firm. If you need to, you can put it against the wall, but that's up to you. So you sit down nicely in the chair, not right on the edge, not right on the back, just nice and comfortably. Your feet are probably about the same width apart as your shoulders. I'll go back a little bit. So your feet are sort of there, knees are there, I mean. And all you're doing is you're going to hold. I'm going to move forward a bit actually. It's slightly easier if you move forward a bit. You hold your arms like this, so if you're not using your arms, and you stand up fully, and you sit down fully, and you stand up fully, and you sit down fully, and you do that for 30 seconds, and you count the number of times. So it's just up and down. Try not to plonk, and down, up and down. Now if the bleep goes and you've got this far, count that. Okay, you can count that as 1 because you're not going down. So that's the chair to stand test, and that is testing for lower leg strength. Okay, so having done that, we can now move into it's called the chair reach. This one is slightly more difficult to do on your own, but it is possible. So we're going to take the chair again. Make sure it's very stable. So we take the chair. You need the ruler for this one. Move this back a bit, and we're going to. It's as if we were going to do the stretch. You know the stretch that we do. Sit on the edge of the chair. You know the stretch that we do like that. Well, we're going to be doing that, but slightly differently. Put the ruler on the floor so that you can get hold of it. Sitting up nice and straight. One leg out. You're only going to do one leg on this one. Put your hands together so that like that, so that your middle fingers are the same length. One leg out, sitting up nice and tall, not back like I was then. Hands out in front, and then you lean forward, remember, from the hips, not from the waist. And you lean forward and you measure how far you can get. Now you're going to have to take one hand off to do this. So it's best to depends whether you're right or left-handed. So you lean forward, say you only get to there. You then release one hand, take the ruler and measure from the tip of your little finger to the top of your toe. And say you get to there, that would be 6 inches. Yes, 6 inches. So you would note that as -6. If you manage to touch your toe, that's a 0. And if you manage to go past your toe like that, you measure again from the tip of your finger back to the middle of the toe, to the top of the shoe, sorry. From the top of your middle finger back to the top of your shoe, and say that was 4 inches, that would be +4. It's a little bit, there is a special device you can get, but they're quite expensive where you sit. It's called the sit and reach test. But they're quite expensive. So if you can't reach your toe, you measure, and that's a negative result, minus whatever. If you manage to touch your toe, that's 0. And if you get past your toe, that's a plus. I hope that's understandable. The next one we're going to do is called we're going to test, this tests speed and agility. Now, I don't know how long or how big the biggest your rooms are, but for this one, you have your chair, and then you measure 8 feet from your chair. So I'm just going to measure a short bit just to show you. In fact, I'm not going to measure it at all. But measure, hang on a minute, I've forgotten something. Measure 8 feet from the chair. I've got cones, which are quite nice and light. Put something at the 8-foot mark, something that's not heavy, so that if you trip on it, you won't fall over, it will fall over. So just let's pretend that that's 8 feet. So you're sitting in the chair, nice and comfortable. You get up. You need stopwatch as well. You walk without knocking it and safely, and you sit back down and you time yourself. You stop the stopwatch. Have the best of 3. Oh, sorry, the chair reach one. Do best of 3. So this one, it's very simple. Up, round 8 feet, round the object, back, and sit down. Now it seems quite simple, but you're turning around in a bit of a short time. So be careful you don't get dizzy, and be careful of your balance. And again, that's best of 3. So that's what's that called? The 8-foot up and go. So we've done the chair stand, we've done the reach, we've done the 8-foot up and go. The next one I'm going to show you tests endurance. You can use a tape measure for this. I don't need the chair. You can use the tape measure if you want, but you can sort of guess. What you need to do is you need to measure. I'm going to do it here so you can see what I'm doing. You measure halfway between that joint there and this hip bone here. And I happen to know you can do it with a tape measure if you want. Again, it's a bit difficult to do it on your own, but for me, it measures about 20. So then you measure halfway. I'm going to measure 10 inches, because I'm working in inches, 10 inches up my leg. So that's that point there. Holding on to that, put your leg against a wall, note where it is, and put a mark there. Now, I put a bit of sellotape to avoid marking the wall, but you can use chalk, you can use pen that washes off. It's entirely up to you. So it's halfway between that joint there and here, your iliac crest. It's about mid-thigh. Mine comes to about there. And then you mark where that is. I've marked it with a piece of sellotape. You can't see it, but I can. Then you need the stopwatch. And you are marching on the spot, and your knee comes as high as that sellotape. And you do that for 2 minutes. Unfortunately, you have to count. I don't know if it's called double counting or single counting. So do 1, 2, only count one knee, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So count how many times you do it. Again, have a couple of practices. Take the best of 2. 2 minutes is quite a long time when you're doing that. Initially you think, oh, this is really easy, but see how many you can do, because it's technique as well, actually. And then the final one, you'll need to do this outside. If you're totally isolated, you can't get out at all, you're not going to be able to do this one until lockdown finishes, I'm afraid. And this is just, it is called the 6-minute walk test. And you go out, it should be done on if you want to measure it absolutely accurately, you do it on a running track. But if you just know where you start and you know where you finish, it's fine. And you just, basically you see how far you can walk in 6 minutes. You need to time it fairly accurately, and that's where some sort of timer with a bleep will come in handy. Because if you're anything like me, you start walking and then you get involved in something and you forget and you think, oh heck, I've been walking for 7 or 8 minutes or something. So have something with a bleep, and then note where you are. If you've got a phone, you can take a picture of where you are. If you know, if you're very conversant with a certain lamppost, you can do that. But try and know where you start and know where you finish. And then that's a good measuring point for, that's aerobic fitness, to see how well your heart and lungs are working. So, to recap, we've done the chair to stand, which looks at leg strength, sorry. We've done the chair reach, that's the one, which looks at flexibility. We've done the 8-foot up and go, that's round the bottle, which looks at speed and agility. We've looked at the 2-minute step in place, which looks at endurance. And then we've looked at the 6-minute, we've talked about the 6-minute walk test, which looks at your aerobic fitness. And I think that's everything I need to tell you about a sort of DIY MOT. Should have done this at the very beginning, and then you could have tested yourself next week, because we've been going about a month, and you could have measured the improvement. But never mind. Never too late, as they say. If there's any questions, obviously most of you know how to get, well, I think you all know how to get hold of me. Just ask, and I'm very, very happy to answer any questions. Happy MOTing!